Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Build Your Best Life with Coach Deborah D. Smith and our 2022 Virtual Educational Symposium. I am so excited. This week has been amazing. And I know you hear me say that word all the time, but if it's amazing, what can I say? It has been amazing. On Monday night, Anita Cummings from Thompson, Georgia came on and told us all about how it is important to impact one student at a time. And she really broke it down in bite sizes so that we could understand clearly and follow along. On Tuesday night, Pastor Cedric Dinkins of Dallas, Texas was on, and he talked about never stop learning. When I say passionate, he was so passionate about that topic. He told us, he had us really on the edge of our seats about, hey, you need to keep learning. You need to keep learning. He's like, read, read, read. So immediately I went out and purchased the book he told us about, Jesus Unchained. It is amazing. There's that word again. But if you go on Amazon and just look at the part of the book where they let you preview it, you will see. You got to get that book. Then Build Your Best Life. I read it all the time. Effective Living. I read it all the time. I have this book, Spiritual Leadership, that my minister's class, we're going to start soon. So I do believe that you should never stop learning. We're never too young and we're never too old. Then on last night, Christine Stringfield Ricks came on and she told us that a caring educator paves the way for excellence. She gave us so many nuggets that, things that I had never heard of. And one example was she said when students would come in just to get some water or a snack, and she would ask them, how are you doing? And they say, okay. She never accepts okay. And then that was an aha moment for me. As parents, grandparents, educators, leaders, we have to stop just taking okay as okay when our children tell us that. We've got to dig in and find out what's really going on. So that was excellent. So I cannot wait for our final speaker tonight. I know she has some wonderful nuggets for her because her whole dynamic is the power of words. So I know she has some powerful words for us tonight. So I am not going to keep you in suspense too much longer, but I do want to remind everyone Saturday, the 6th, beginning at 9 a.m., free haircuts. Who doesn't want to get their child a free haircut? Every little bit counts. So if your child needs to get that trim, edge up, whatever, please, I'll put the information up on the screen later tonight, but you need to go get on the list in order to get the haircut because we have limited slots. So please, please, please sign up. Now, without further hesitation, I am going to turn our last night over to our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful hostess for tonight, Miss Jocelyn Charles from Dallas, Texas. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hi, Coach Deborah. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so grateful to be here, and I have enjoyed this week. As you mentioned, it has been an amazing week. This 2022 Educational Symposium has been awesome and helpful for parents and educators alike. I'm really enjoying myself. Thank you for having me. Well, without further ado, I am here to share with everyone and introduce our speaker for tonight. Unlike some of you, I have the pleasure of knowing our speaker personally, and those who do know her, we have been blessed by her abundance of wisdom and knowledge. And she shares with us and she loves on everyone she comes across. And just tune in. You don't want to miss it. And I'm not going to give it all away. So let me get right on in and introduce to you our speaker for tonight. Our speaker tonight is Minister Carol Crockett. She is a humble servant who walks worthy of the calling God has bestowed on her. She is a proud graduate of Prairie View A&M University, where she received her teaching degree. Carol has taught for many years in schools and churches alike. She is a wife, mother, sister, aunt, and very proud to be called Cece by her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Carol is a longstanding member of Pathway of Life Church in Dallas, Texas. She utilized the tools gained from the ministers' roundtable that assisted her in stepping into her ministry calling. She is a gifted teacher and minister of the word who diligently seeks and finds hidden treasures to present the truth in practical ways to others. Carol regularly ministers at Pathway of Life Church in the Overcomers class. She's a regular minister of record for Pathway Super Kids, a conference speaker at women retreats, a group leader in Bible study fellowship, and is a seasoned intercessor. Her wisdom reaches many as she presents the truth in love. Her passion and joy are to encourage others by offering the good news of God's word. I affectionately call her Miss Carol. Miss Carol also advocates the power of words and spreads this worldwide via her social media platform. She is a public speaker and hosts programs such as Effective Living Monday Conversations and Coffee Chat with Miss Deborah and Carol. The name of Coffee Chat is with Deborah and Carol on the Building Your Best Life platform. Pardon me. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, get your pen and your notepads out and get ready to jot down these nuggets as you get this encouraging word from Minister Carol Crockett. But first, I believe we do have a testimonial video that we want you to sit and tune in as you listen to a few give a couple of words on how the Build Your Best Life platform has affected and changed their lives for the better.
Good evening. My name is Dan Smith. I'm here to talk about Build Your Best Life with Coach Deborah D. Smith. In Coach Smith's book, it has a lot of basic principles about helping young men to build a better life. I've been in law enforcement for 40 years before I retired, and I would love to have had this book with me because I could have added some of the basic knowledge that I have, but it gave me more knowledge than that the book has to help these young men go in the right directions. These young men have been from the age of 10 to the age of 17. And these are great principles. But also you can watch a video on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. or Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. They are great videos. She has great guests and they do an outstanding job. So if you have time, you can do that. If you need further information, you can go to their website, www.buildyourbestlife.org, and get more information. Thank you. I'll see you.
Hello, my name is Joseph Levette. What I want to share with us all as it relates to teaching our young men is that teaching is a key method of prevention. What I mean by prevention, teaching prevention gives them the tools to face unnecessary struggles in life. And when we give them those tools, we give them all the items they need to build a toolbox. And when they need any tool, it's just like as when we need tools to fix things around our homes, on our cars and so forth. When we use the right tool, we always get the job done and we're successful at what we use our tools for. So if you want to have a successful young man to go to be a man, give them the tools.
Hi, I'm Coach Ricardo Miller out of Dallas, Texas. And I found that the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but to live without a reason. One of the things that I'm super impressed about with Coach Deborah D. Smith is that her commitment to decide that I'm going to live life to the fullest. I'm going to establish a platform called Build Your Best Life that's going to help the next generation. And I'm going to plant the seed that ensures that those who come after me will have something to work off of. Coach Deborah, I'm impressed. I love what you're doing. I love your drive. I love your determination. I love your consistency. Keep going after what God has placed within your heart. Your best days are in front of you. Thank you for all that you have done in helping so many young people. More specifically, thank you for the connection that you've made with my son, RJ. He loves your platform. He loves your message. We all love you, Coach Deborah. Keep soaring. God bless you.
Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone. And I am so happy to be here. Thank you, Deborah. What an amazing commercial of all those people that people that I know, Deacon Dan and Mr. Levette and Coach Ricardo, who had those great things to say about you and your platform. And I am truly grateful for any time I have the opportunity to connect or be connected in some way that Deborah is doing something, because I know it's going to always be excellent. And so this, like Jocelyn said, Jocelyn, oh my God, thank you for that introduction. I love you dearly, and I'm just so grateful that the Lord has allowed us to connect in so many ways. I always tell Jocelyn her calming voice is always so pleasant to me, and of course she's such a great storyteller. So thank you, Jocelyn, for even telling my bio as a story in the way I know you do that. And once again, Deborah, thank you for everything that you do. This has been an amazing symposium. And Deborah, like our sister Anita always say when we do affirmations, this has been the best symposium, and she says, ever. So this has been the best symposium ever. And Deacon Dan, thank you for because I know you always pray for us. And so we've had excellent hostess and excellent speakers, teachers, educators, and Deborah named them and went back and gave great information as far as what they taught on. But my task tonight is to simply talk about decluttering. And I jumped on this because I was like, oh, I know a bit about this. But like we have mentioned this week in Deborah's platform about the symposium, is that we have to be lifelong learners. And every time you've mastered something and knowing something, it's always something else out there for us to get to know. And that's exactly what happened to me in preparing for this. And I tell you, it may sound like I'm a little bit schizophrenic about some of the things because it was so much information, and from things that I've learned, it might have changed a little bit of the way. And maybe as I get through this, you will understand what I'm talking about. But decluttering. And I want to read a few comments or a few quotes first, and you kind of see if any of these are something you say or you recognize. So one quote says, and I didn't write down who said it, but when you say yes to clutter, it takes over. And when you say no to clutter, you take over. And that's what we want to be about in this life of decluttering. Well, here's a few more. Clutter is nothing more than postponed decisions. True. And that's by Barbara Hemphill. Today is the day you rid yourself of anything that distracts from your best life. That's Joshua Becker. And that's what this platform really is about, living our best life or building your best life. Here's another one. If you have clutter, you're richer than you think. And I thought about who would think like that, but clutter to them makes them think that they're richer than you think. That's Donna Smalling. If someone doesn't, now I love this one because clutter can be in physical, emotions, and so many other ways. And this person says, if someone doesn't live with you, neither should their stuff, because clutter can be stuff, right? And when I own less, fewer things go wrong and need to be fixed. I have more space, openings in my calendar, and room in my home. What else? A calm in my heart. And that was Lisa Schultz. Well, as I said, and as we talked about in this symposium, we should be lifelong learners. So two things that I looked as I was preparing for this, I saw this and I thought this was pretty interesting. And I've learned this. Two things I've learned for in this is that you can't clean clutter. You cannot clean clutter. And another thing that I've been very guilty of, and we'll say that, you cannot declutter anyone else's stuff. You cannot declutter anyone else's stuff. So the Bible says, and I picked this from the Message Bible, and we're all familiar with Ecclesiastes 3. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I picked out a few things that I thought related to us. And we say that everything that we need to know about is in the Bible. So there is, according to Ecclesiastes 3, it says there's a right time for everything. There's a right time for everything. There's an opportune time to do things, a right time for everything on earth. So listen at this and see if you can pick out some things that relate to us decluttering. A right time to plant and another time to reap. A right time to destroy and another time to construct. A right time to embrace things and another time to part with it. A right time to search and another time to count your losses. A right time to hold on and never let go of something, and a right time to rip it out and another to mend. And then one last one, it says, and there's a right time to wage war and another time for peace. Listen, that kind of described to me some things that happen with us when our life is full of clutter. There is an epidemic of clutter in our world. Consider this. Now, these are a few statistics that I found that surround the concept of too much stuff. The United States consumers buy 40% of the world's toys, but bear only 3% of those children. Most people wear 20% of their clothing in 80% of the time. 20% of your clothing we wear 80% of the time. According to the National Soap and Detergent Association, eliminating clutter would also eliminate 40% of time spent cleaning the average home if we eliminate some of the clutter. And then it says 1 in 11 households in the United States rent a storage to hold their belongings, spending as much as $1,000 a year in rent and contributing to an industry of $154 billion. And the report says that we never use or look at 80% of the papers and the clutters and the information that we keep. And then 55% of the people who poll save up to 60 minutes a day if we would just get more organized. Well, here's a definition, and I probably will change this later on as I begin to look at this. But according to the dictionary, define clutter. It's a condition. It's a condition of disorder, or a lot of objects that are in a state of disorder. The clutter battle is a continuous one, but we must become aware of two things: why we clutter and why not. To add more to the things, add more to things that we have, and add more to an already cluttered life. Why of clutter? Why do we have clutter? What's the why in our clutter? It's a state of our hearts. The state of our hearts have led to clutter. Our spirit and stuff are linked together in so many ways. We all have that clutter that is a part of our life itself. So even when we think we've decluttered everything, there's going to still be some clutter left. How many times have we heard people say, or since this is an educational symposium and we've looked at our children and they've come to our classrooms with their backpacks, and you want the assignment and they digging down trying to pull out stuff, and you might get a leftover Twinkie or just all those kind of things. And we look at our kids' room and it's all in disarray, maybe our room sometimes too. But how many times have we heard these words? You're just sloppy, you're messy, you're lazy, and because of your disorganization of lockers and homes and desks. And then our desks have a tendency to get a little messy. But let me just say this: life itself is a little messy sometimes. Life itself is a little messy. So the clutter battle, and it is a battle, is a continuous one. But we must become aware of the why and the why not, like I said. And we've heard so many things that we've heard. We live in a world that is so easy to buy stuff. You know, things are cheap. So sometimes we rather buy stuff than to fix stuff. And sometimes we'll buy things that we don't need. And I don't know, I've been guilty of that, having things in my closet with price tags still on it. But, you know, those are things that our society has kind of pushed us into that. And then how many of you said, oh, I may use it someday, or I'll save this for a rainy day, or this may come in to somebody may be able to use this down the line, you know, down another day. Well, when is that day going to ever come? Or what day is it hasn't rained in the last 20 years that we haven't used things? What? And let's look at the what of clutter. We talked about why and why not, but what about the what of clutter? The what of clutter simply is a logical thinking. Logical thinking gets in the way if getting rid of stuff. It gets in the way of us getting rid of stuff. That stuff could include physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual stuff, and also our time. So this clutter can be connected to our heads as well as our hearts. So defining clutter. Let me give you another definition for that as I move. Define clutter, decluttering. Decluttering simply means to remove unnecessary items from an untidy or overcrowded place. That's just like telling the kids, you're sloppy, you're messy. So that's what decluttering seems to be in one dictionary. But we all must deal with this head and the heart kind of issues behind the clutter. Our head and our heart behind this clutter. or if we don't deal with that, we will never be prepared to make hard decisions, because decluttering requires us making some decisions about decluttering things that are weighing us down, or things that are robbing you of your time and your space and even your energy. So if you don't think about decluttering, you won't get to a place that you can do that. As a matter of fact, clutter costs us something. Everything that comes into your home, into your head, into your heart is going to cost you something. Like I said, it's your space, your time, and even your attention. All clutter, y'all, listen, all clutter is constantly working against us. Even if the clutter is hidden, you know how we can do things. We hide some stuff here, and like the kids do, put it under the bed, and they call that cleaning up or whatever. But even the hidden clutter is costly, and it's constantly working against us. It lets you rest. It is constantly calling your name, robbing you of peace, and making you feel that shame and that guilt. Clutter is active. Clutter is the thief of creativity. And lastly, clutter is a robber of your joy. And eventually your space begins to seem depressing, small, and even brings you to a place that is joyless. So you must get to the why and figure out your why that you keep things. It may not be easy, but guess what? It is possible simply because Christ, what does the word of God say? We can do all things in Christ Jesus. High clutter leads to high stress. See, Satan uses many ways to distract us, to disrupt us, to divide our hearts and heads from the principles, the promises, the purpose, and the plan of God for our life. So, let's just look at clutter again. I got a different definition here. Clutter can be anything that you keep that does not add value to your life. Let me say that again. Clutter can be anything that you keep that doesn't add value to your life. Clutter bombards the mind, causes our senses to work overtime. It's mental clutter is just as stressful as physical clutter. Clutter distracts and causes us not to focus. Focusing on one thing at a time is what we have to learn how to do. But clutter will keep our minds all over the place. Clutter makes you anxious, makes you nervous, makes you depressed, makes you stressed. Never should and never sure. It makes you not even sure. And especially if you look at this pile of things that you put off and you put away and you say you're going to get to it, it will get to the place where you will never feel like you'll ever get to the bottom of the pile of your stuff. Clutter creates a feeling of guilt, like I said, and clutter frustrates us when we can't find those things that we need. When we're real important thing and you can't find it, simply because that's that clutter still speaking out, still talking to you, still keeping you frustrated and keeping you at a place that you cannot you cannot have all the things God has purpose and plan for you. Well, here's some good news. Clutter is one of the easiest life stressors to fix. Now, I saw this and it says, if you would focus and take 15 minutes a day, each day, to declutter one room at a time, and not even one room, one space at a time, say you're going to do your kitchen drawer, one kitchen drawer at a time, put the timer on, put some music on, and they say start trying to declutter some of those things. That's one person's suggestion, and I got a few more for us. Clutter includes your emotion, like I said. It includes time. And along with that, listen, now this is my last view of this clutter. It deals with your emotions. It deals with your time. But it also helps you have to deal with your stuff. See, clutter includes your emotion, time, along with your stuff, must now be integrated into your present life. So now you got these emotions, you got the time, you got to deal with that. And then you got to now be able to deal with your stuff. So where I'm saying you have to deal with those emotions that are connected to your clutter, deal with the time that it's taken away from you, or you can add back to your life. Those are the two things you got to deal with first. And after that, you can start dealing with your stuff, because sometimes we can put value on our stuff. So deciding what is clutter is a very different decision than letting it go. See, everybody pretty much said, do this and you get rid of that, take it all at one time, get you a bunch of labels, get you a bunch of baskets, and all those things might be, but I'm here to say tonight, all those suggestions about how to get rid of things and how this person functions, how this person, it not work for you. So we have to decide what is going to work for you. We need to know that there's a big difference between knowledge, understanding, practices, and now to learn how to integrate new strategies. It may not happen at once overnight. You may have to work on this. And that's what I continue to find out. Decluttering, just like learning, is a lifelong experience. It's a life process. It's a thing that we have to do continuously to maintain this clutter-free situation. Now let's get into another meaning that I have for declutter. Declutter means making room for things that truly matter. You have to make room for the things that truly matter. That's why I said that your time and emotions are connected to your stuff. And before you can kind of just chunk things, because sometimes we have some emotional ties to those things, you have to decide how this is affecting your emotion. What is it? Where are you as far as time is concerned? And then now, how do you look at this thing that somebody else may call stuff, but it may be your treasure? But these are significant things. But knowing the difference between knowledge, understanding, practice, and integrating new ideas and new strategies to help you with these things. Declutter, like I said, declutter is the act of bringing life into balance. I love this one. Declutter is the act of bringing life into balance and adapting to your changing circumstances of your present life. Not just getting rid of stuff, but to keep in your, not to just get rid of stuff, but what to keep in your life is important too. See, stuff is neutral, and stuff does not come into our homes without our permission. We give it permission to come in our homes. Stuff becomes clutter when stuff becomes clutter when our interests change. So we have to make a decision every day, every junction in our life, and decide if it adds value to your life. And then guess what? Don't look at this as your stuff, you self-judging, self-criticism, because that is a way of that's a condemning entrapment. So as I said before, it is a lifelong process that we will do our entire lives. We're going to have to declutter our entire lives. But listen, the big thing that gets in all our way, procrastination. Procrastination is our biggest issue. And here's a little voice of procrastination. We don't want to do it, or you can't make me do it. That's what procrastination says to us. But like I said, we have to look at some emotional ties to some things that we call stuff, and then prepare ourselves to be able to have time to release those things and let it go. Now, we all know that time is very important. That's a part of us having a part of decluttering. So I'm going to give you 5 D's that I found on your to-do list to help you think through stuff and to help you manage that time of trying to declutter. So it says, think it through, not just work it through. And we are responsible every day for our time. So let's think about this to-do list as a choreographing time of your day. You're going to choreograph your day for you with this. Used to be a to-do list. First D, do, the word do. I do have a lot to do, but can I get it done today? The second D is, well, if I can't get it done today, can I delegate it to someone or something? Can I get some help? We always say in our effective living that someone's assigned to help you. Or should I defer this? And defer simply means, do I save it for another time? I'm not really ready to deal with this right now. So can I defer it for another time? And make sure you keep it where you can be able to and put it up, get ready to defer it for another time and know when you're going to look at it. Then the other D is drop. You have to decide this. Am I going to drop putting this all together today? Or will I come back to it? Or will I never get to it? So you got to make a decision. Am I going to drop? Am I going to do it? Am I going to delegate it? Am I going to defer it? Or am I going to drop it? Or the last one, will I diminish? The D is to diminish. I need to work on my closet, right? All of us ladies will say yes. But I'm not going to be able to get this whole closet decluttered and organized. So what can I do? Maybe today I will just work on organizing my pants or organizing my blouse or just putting hangers up where I can get rid of those things together. So those were, our time is important. And that's part of us learning how to declutter, how we utilize our time in order to make sure that we're getting the best of the things that we need to get done that day. So our days will not become cluttered and full of things that we can't get to. But this is what I want to share, that I really love finding this out. We all have what we call an organizational personality style. I want to share that because I thought it was worth sharing. First, you must understand we are not all made the same. And that's why I said I had a long list of things that it says, get a basket. Some people want open baskets. Some people need closed things. Some people need things that they can see, sticky notes, and all those are wonderful if that's your style of organizing. But the word says he made us all so unique, so wonderful. So that means too, the same system may not work for you, and it may not be equal to each one of us. So listen to see if there's an organizational identity that might help you in your journey of decluttering. This is not the answer to decluttering, but it is the first step to declutter, which is organizing. Organization is not the final answer to decluttering, but it's the first step that we need to start to declutter. Here's style number one. They call this the triangle style. Now, this is this personality style. You are very organized. You have no idea why others find it difficult not to be organized. Your strengths are keeping others on deadline. But here's a tip. You embrace technology. You are natural for it, and you might benefit by trying to do less and not more. That's their tip for the person who's the triangle person. Embrace the technology. You are natural for it. You might benefit by trying to do less and not more. Then it's the visual style organizer. You keep things out, visible, yet organized. You got to have them where you can see them. You are color coding, and you have a see-through of your method. So you need to be able to see through everything. Your strengths is communicating ideas and presentation. But here's a tip. Use pretty organizing tools such as wooden boxes, and for your files, use color-coded file folders. That's your tip if you're visual. Then it's the round style. See, you have a small basket. I talked about those. You have a small basket of actions items on your desk and need to be in the right mood to act. You got these action items, and you have to be in the right mood to even be ready to act. Your strengths is brainstorming, resourceful, and always open to new ideas. Tip: keep a journal as you have abundant ideas and capitalize on your energy level. Then there's the stacker style. You'd rather stack than file, and it gives you more flexibility. And I was looking at something on YouTube, and it said this lady was an attorney. She had all of her things on the desk, just piles and piles of stuff. This professional organizer came in and she put things in order and told her that if this don't work, I'll come back. She had to come back 3 times because the lady couldn't function with stuff in boxes and things like that. So she finally had to put file cabinets on the wall so she could know where everything was. That was her style. So the strength of the stacker is so you rather stack than file. Strengths are shifting priorities, juggling projects, and flexible. That's your strength. But here's the tip. Invest in sorters, like she did, that enable you to go vertical with file folders. That's helping the stacker. Now, here's one that's called the cyclone style. Your desk makes perfect sense to only you. You're fast at everything and have a great memory. Everybody's not gifted like that. Your strengths are decision maker, action oriented, and you motivate others. Here's a tip for you. Surround yourself with a detailed person. Use open vertical shelving systems like cubes or hooks, and rituals are your best ally. Then there is the historian style. I live with one. The historian style person. That person is, has to have everything and they're saving it for that rainy day. And so we just have to know that person has that style, and that is going to be the style that person is going to deal with. But, to help that person, I think that person always has to remember that you can take some of those historical events and begin to put them on your computer and not necessarily keep them, for that rainy day, or you got a piece of newspaper back since 1923 and you want to hang on to it. But remember, everyone has more than one style in their organizing personality makeup. Our brains are all wired differently. And if you know your style, you can get organized in such a way that you can stay organized. Because remember, I said organization and decluttering is lifelong. You have to continue to work at that. You can't say I got it all together today and then I don't have to go back and revisit that same thing tomorrow. And that's the same thing with us mentally. We have to learn how to declutter our minds. I think we talked about, I'm reading this book by Caroline Leaf, and she talks about switching on our brains, and we have to be able to switch our brains on, but sometimes our brains need to be able to take a rest. It is all about decisions. Decluttering is all about decision. Our brains are wired differently, and if you know your style, you can get organized in such a way that you can stay organized, because the system will make more sense to you than any of the other ones. So there's been about 6 that I've given you. You have to make a decision on which one makes more sense for you. But in the end, it's all about decisions. So when you're trying to decide whether something should stay or something should go, because remember, it is our emotions that are tied to things. It's our time management that is tied to things. And they have to begin then to know how to get rid of the stuff that we're not using, because the stuff that doesn't add value to you, doesn't add value to your life, that's when it becomes clutter. And clutter over a long period of time causes us to have to get in a place of decluttering if we don't do it continuously. So here's 3 things to ask yourself. Does it fulfill my intention for my home or my space or my life? Do I use it? Sometimes we have this love relationship with stuff, but I think sometimes we have to ask ourselves, am I in love with this? Do I really love it? Or am I just lusting for it and just think I got to have it? You got to ask yourself those questions. And last, is it kind to my heart? Is it making my heart full of joy? Is it bringing gladness to my heart? Or is it bringing shame and sorrow and all those times? Because cluttering and decluttering, well, clutter is simply an emotional thing too. And so we have to be careful for that. So just like there's physical clutter, and we have to learn how to declutter that, it's emotional clutter. We have to learn how to declutter our emotion. I didn't want to get too much into that, but there's also a time that we have to look at how we can spiritually declutter. Because remember, I said your head and your heart. and your spirit and the stuff are somewhat connected. So here's a few things that I pray that will encourage you as we look at this ongoing situation of decluttering our lives. Number one, and I started out with the scripture in Ecclesiastes. Remember that there is a time for everything. Ecclesiastes 3:6 in the NIV says a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep, and it's always a time to throw away. Number two, remember that life is more than stuff. Luke 12:15 tell us, then he said to them, watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. Number three, do not love the world. Set your heart on God. 1 John 2:15, all this is NLT. Do not love this world, nor the things it offers you. For when you love the world, you do not have the love of the Father in your heart. Colossians 3:12 in the ESV says, set your minds on things that are above and not on the things that are on this earth. That's how we build up a lot of things that we don't need. Then number four, where is my treasure? Where is my heart? Matthew 6:21 says, for where your treasure is, that's where your heart will also be. And last, number five, God will bless you with peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33 in the NIV says, for God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. And so I want to encourage us today to choose peace over clutter and choose peace over chaos. We have to choose peace, because when clutter brings us to a place that we have no peace, and clutter brings us to a place that our life is in chaos, then we have to choose to begin to declutter. Declutter, why? Because clutter is an excess in our life or an emotional baggage that simply weighs us down, distracts us from the purpose and the plans of God, and robs us of our joy, our peace, and in our mind and our body and in our spirit. So I want to just encourage you that we have to want to declutter. You got to find your declutter, your organizational style. Remember, all of us don't have the same one. So don't beat yourself up because yours don't look like the person who's the historian and the person who actually is a cyclone or whatever. We have to know that we are created differently. So we find those things. But just remember, decluttering don't just happen one time. It is a lifelong, it's a lifelong learning experience. And we have to know that we have to take charge and begin, before we want to get rid of stuff, we have to begin to look at, what is this causing me emotionally? What is this costing me in time? Because like I said, clutter costs us something. But we have to look at those things that it's costing us before we can say, dump it out, get rid of it. Because we can look at somebody else's clutter and not understand that the emotional ties, but we have to help them or help ourselves get to a place that we're ready to depart from those things that we no longer need in our lives, because it's not bringing us value. It's not bringing us joy. And that's the whole purpose, that we want to live our best life, but we want to live our best life where we've got peace, we got love, we got joy, and the joy of the Lord can be our strength. Thank you, Miss Jocelyn, and thank you, Miss Deborah. I've said something that has been worthwhile to each of you, because to be honest, like I said, it has blessed me to be on and to be able to share. So I'm going to turn it back over to my hostess, who's been so great at introducing me. So, hey, Jocelyn.
Hello, Minister Carol Crockett. Thank you again for sharing those nuggets with us. It's very important, this topic. And I love the fact that we're closing on this as parents, And teachers, educators alike are getting prepared to go back into this new school year because we know how important it is to be organized. And as you just shared, how chaotic our lives can be when we're holding on to all that clutter. Miss Carol, thank you. I said it, Miss Carol. Thank you again for sharing that with
That's
us.
okay.
It's been very, very helpful. I like that you started off with the definition of decluttering. I mean, you gave several.
Right.
The textbook definition is a condition or a state of disorder. And this topic is so valuable because I found I was around the house this summer. My children and I, all three of us, were in the house all summer. That's the first for us in many years. And as we are living amongst each other and getting through the day and everybody and all this stuff and going through all this stuff, I'm like, wait a minute, I have to get some things in order. And I first started with my files. I started decluttering my files, and I tell you, I had 2 deep boxes of trash. Just going through paperwork, going through things that needed to be organized and filed or what needed to be thrown away. And honestly, I'm telling off on myself. Maybe not everybody is this way, but I'm looking at this stack of things. I look, how you open your mail, you look at it, you put it to the side, you look at it, you put it to the side. Okay, that pile was growing and it was stressing me out, and I'm like, wait a minute, enough. It's time to sort, organize what needs to be handled first, and no more procrastination. No more so the procrastination and the clutter for me went hand in hand. And so I felt so much better as I got I put important documents together. I had one birth certificate over here, one birth certificate over there. I had to get things in proper order. And I found some important documents too, some things that I just didn't know where it was. I'm like, I know I put this in this stack. So, little honesty and transparency. I need that to the people.
Confession is good for the soul, right?
For the soul. And I also like, Minister Carol, when you shared that you cannot clean clutter. You can't clean it. You have to make it. Decluttering is a decision. I like that you shared that with us because we think it's just one of those things. Okay, it's not like going over dusting the blinds and cleaning out from under the bed. It's a decision that you have to really apply yourself. And then you gave the 5 Ds to the 5 Ds to do to declutter. And sometimes we just don't know where to start. Sometimes right? Especially if you let it get out of control, a particular space. Let's say for me, anyone that knows me, every other month I'm talking about my garage. All right. So like, how does happen, God? But anyway, and to do it, delegate it, defer it for another time. You also share to drop it or diminish it. And you have to put thought into it. I like that because sometimes we don't realize how much of a task it is. But it's still doable. We can make it. We can make it too big where it overwhelms us, but it is doable. Just put a little thought process in it, and as you say, if it does not bring value into our lives, toss it, get rid of it while holding on to it. And also being able to identify the clutter as spiritual clutter, physical clutter, mental clutter, because it all contributes in all areas, right? When we're living amongst the mess, it affects us mentally, it affects us emotionally, because you may also make the point, and you drop so many nuggets, I'm just trying to regurgitate it all. You drop the point that decluttering is it steals our time. it steals our time. And when it
It
steals our
does.
time, it
Mhm.
makes our space chaotic. We get stressed. You spoke on anxiety. You even spoke on depression. And I am a true believer in what you shared. When you get your space just right,
Mhm.
it enhances your creativity. It boosts your mood. It boosts your mood and your joy, and just
Mhm.
peaceful and a pleasant environment. And when you
Mhm.
have that, it's pleasant for
Right.
everyone that shares the space with you. So I have
Mhm.
really, I mean, I was trying to write as fast as you were talking, and I got a couple pages of notes, and I don't want to just spit it all out. But please, Miss Carol, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you, and because you are perfect for you are a minister. You're a minister at Pathway Life Church, someone who just may need some mentoring, some Christian advice.
Mhm.
They may want to get into some more nuggets about decluttering, and and how does anyone get in touch with you if they need to do so?
Thank you, Jocelyn. I'll be happy to share that. Like you said, that I am every second Thursday, I am with Miss Deborah. Well, Deborah would be your best life as we do coffee chat. But I do have my own Facebook page. I may be a little bit behind time. I'm working on Instagram and those things. But you can contact me on my Facebook page, Carol Crockett on my regular one, but also you can contact me with the power of words with Carol Crockett. And one of my huge things with power of words, and I do believe this from the bottom of my heart, even with us talking about decluttering, it's a decision. But if I tell myself I can't, I can't,
Right.
And so I believe that what I articulate, it activates in my life. So if I keep telling myself I'm not going to ever get this pile down to anything, then that's what's going to activate in your life. So
That's
you
right.
can follow me on the Power of Words. I am a minister on Pathway of Life Church page, and we are on every Monday, Wednesday, pretty late, but we're on. I love mentoring. I love chatting. And I think one of the speakers said the last time that if we should always be a mentor or mentee. And I really believe that, because I believe that our lives are always influencing someone. And so, yes, you can reach me on those pages. And I love sharing what I've learned in life and what I've learned about the Word of God. And I'm not, and here's my other thing, I'm not too big to learn from you. And so I believe we learn from one another. So anytime I can be a mouthpiece for the Lord and a vessel for the Lord in any capacity He's allowed me to be in, I'm always open for that. And Jocelyn, thank you for letting me share that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, everyone, you got that. You right from Minister Carol Crockett. This 2022 Educational Symposium has been amazing. We have had 4 amazing speakers this week, and please reach out to Coach Deborah D. Smith if you are looking to connect to someone, or just go back and watch the videos. I'm sure each speaker has shared their contact information if you're looking to connect. If you want to become more engaged with the Build Your Life platform, just reach out to Deborah D. Smith directly, and I know she will be glad to connect with you. Thank you,
Oh,
everyone who has
Jocelyn,
tuned.
one other thing, how can I forget to say that I also am on Monday night with Conversation with Coach Ricardo Miller. I'm sorry I missed that, but yes, you can find me every third Monday night. And Deborah and I share that platform too. So thank you.
Yes, and you can they can connect with you on Monday nights, and Coach Deborah, you guys rotate some Mondays on YouTube and Facebook, and also the Build Your
Absolutely.
Best Life platform you can connect to on YouTube as well as Facebook. So there are
Mhm.
many avenues to stay connected, to stay engaged with a wonderful group of people, and we are all here just trying to build our best life. We're moving forward with that, and we're not looking back. We're not going back to where we
No
used to.
regrets, huh?
We're enjoying this journey together, and I'm just so very grateful to be a part. Again, my name is Jocelyn Charles, and I am honored to be here to be a host tonight for the Build Your Best Life platform as we close out the 2022 Educational Symposium. Everyone, you have a wonderful and blessed night.
All right.
Hello again, everyone.
Hey, yes.
I know it's I won't keep you too much longer, but this is the last night, so I have to say thank you to some people. First of all, I want to say thank you to God, because He has given me this purpose that I have on my life to assist young men to overcome obstacles and build their best lives. He has given me this platform in order to do that. I mean, it was Him that you put the thoughts and the words down for me to write a book, so I have to thank Him. I thank my husband, because he always supports me, whatever I do. He's always there. So he works. He has two grinds that he does, but he'll stop and come in and do what I need him to do, and he leaves and go back to work. So I thank him for that. I thank everyone that supported me in making sure that this 2022 Educational Symposium happened. It doesn't just happen. I need supporters. So thank you to all of them. I will be sending out a thank you to each person. I want to thank my Build Your Best Life community, all of you who come in and day out, look at my posts, the videos, come on as experts to help me out as needed. And if you have something that will assist our young men and you'd like to be a part, please send me a message. I would be glad to have you on as well. I thank all of the presenters this week. They were amazing. And that was Miss Anita Cummins of Thompson, Georgia, Pastor Cedric Jenkins of Dallas, Texas, Miss Christine Stringfield Ricks of Chesapeake, Virginia, and my sister, Minister Carol Crockett from Dallas, Texas, and as well our hostess. They were amazing, and I'm not going to tell you which one it was, but we had one that this was something new to her, and you could not tell. She was just as good as everybody else. But I want to thank Cynthia Ferguson of Dallas, Texas, Brady Robinson of Dallas, Texas, Carolyn Cuffey of Chesapeake, Virginia, and my Jocelyn Charles of Dallas, Texas. Thank you all so much. Y'all are such sweethearts. I appreciate everything. Don't forget about the haircuts. You have to be on the list in order to get the haircut. If you're here in the Jacksonville area, you can send me an email, byblwdsmith@gmail.com. You can DM me or put something, a comment in the chat, and I will contact you tonight. But you must sign up. So thank you, everyone. I hope I didn't forget anything or anybody, but I love you all. And I thank you so very much for making this 2022 Educational Symposium what it has been. So thank you so much. And good night. Love you all.